If you're booking in plenty of market appraisals but struggling to win the business, then these 7 steps will show you exactly how to increase your conversion rate in your business without being salesy or pushy. So I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say that you want more listings in your estate agency business. So let's go through 7 steps you can do in your estate agency business today, which are really quick and easy wins that can help improve your conversion rate. Now, one key thing that I always think about is the market appraisals can be won or lost before the appointment. So before you even walk to the front door, people have a really good idea about who they're going to instruct and who they're not going to instruct. So there's a bigger video, bigger content here about content marketing in the local area and being the local expert. So let's assume you're doing that all already. So let's start off with point number 1. Now, I'm sure you've booked in more than a few market appraisals in your life, and I'm sure you know to ask a lot of open questions instead of some sort of quizzing, weird police interview situation of how many bedrooms you got, how many bathrooms you got, what sort of house is it, what's your garage like, what's your driveway like. Instead, use expressions like paint me a picture of your property or walk me around your home. Makes your life a lot easier, but I'm sure you're really good at that already. There's one really good question I'd be asking at the end of booking every market appraisal over the phone. And that would be, what are some of the key factors you're looking for in the estate agent that you decide to go on the market with? Now, they might say things like service, communication, I want to sell it as quick as possible. But there's one thing that I would take as a given when you have that conversation, and that is they want to get as much money as possible. So lots of people on the phone won't say to you, I want to get as much money as I can for my property. But I would take that as a given. So almost add that to the list on top of whatever else they say instead. So they might say, for example, I want an agent with fantastic communication. I want an agent who's going to sell it quickly. I'd also add on top of that list, getting the most money as well, because most people out there want to get as much money into their property when they come to sell it. And the reason why it's important to ask this question is we're going to use it later on in this video and later on in the market appraisal as well. It's going to give us a really good idea about what they're looking for. So when it comes to closing for the business, we can use that information later on in the conversation. So it's really important you write down at this stage exactly what they're looking for in their agent. Step number 2, the most likely agent to be instructed on a property sale is the agent they find through. So therefore, you need to put yourself in the best possible position to be that agent they find through. Most people don't move that far away from where they live at the moment, only probably a mile or so up the road at most. So it's probably going to be very much within your core area or within your sphere of influence. Now, as a best case scenario, tell me what you're looking for when you're booking the market appraisal. Is it a 3-bedroom house? Is it a 4-bedroom house? Great. We've then got some really good options about how we can help them find their next property. This could be things like putting a video up on our social media saying I've got Mrs. Jones who wants to buy a bungalow in the local area. We could do a VIP letter drop around that local area to say pretty much exactly the same thing in written format. And we could even target withdrawn properties that used to be on the market to say I've got someone who wants to view your property. Now, although we are trying to sell that person a property and hopefully they'll love those homes or will get some interest off the back of it, even if we get nothing off the back of that marketing, that person will think, oh my goodness, Chris has done more for me in the last 2 weeks than any other agent has ever done for me. Of course, I'm going to go on the market with them. I feel indebted to them for the amount of work they put in trying to find me my next home. It doesn't even matter if you get nothing back from that marketing effort you're doing on their behalf. What they're benefiting from is the fact you've done it in the first place. So therefore, they'll be more likely to instruct you because you've done that extra work in your business. And also, as a sneaky peek, it improves your conversion of your marketing if you've got someone assigned to that marketing. So instead of saying, do you want to sell your property, which might get a conversion rate of like 1 in 1,000 might come back, you can improve that to more like 1 in 500 by saying, I've got Mrs. Jones, she's got a 4-bedroom place and wants to buy a 3-bedroom place. So you're actually improving your marketing as well. It's a real win-win across the board. So step number 3 is a step that lots of agents miss out. They hear the phone call, they book in the market appraisal, and then they just turn up for the market appraisal. But they've missed a huge step here, and that is a pre-market appraisal confirmation. So this ideally should be hand-delivered to the property, and therefore you drop it off, knock on the front door and say, hey, I'm Chris. We spoke earlier today about coming to see your property on Saturday at 2 o'clock. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see your kitchen. There's a letter confirming the appointment officially. I'll see you on Saturday at 2 o'clock. Not only have you got to see the outside of the property, also got to meet the homeowner as well. So a little bit further along that step of knowing, liking and trusting you as well, because the more time they spend with you, the more time they like you. Also, when it comes to the market appraisal, instead of saying nice to meet you, it's nice to see you again. Isn't the weather a bit better today? And the conversation just moved another step down the line. One thing to be aware of at this stage though, occasionally people will say to you, actually, perfect timing, Chris. I've just put the Hoover away. Do you fancy coming to value my property now? So you need to have in your back pocket a reason why you can't value the property now, because you've not done any research and you would literally be winging it, which isn't a good place to be. Always have an excuse that you're too busy to do it right now. So that might be, I'd love to, but I'm actually just on my way to a few valuations now. My next free time is Saturday at 2 o'clock, like we booked in. Or I'd love to, but unfortunately I've got viewings all afternoon and second viewings all afternoon. Otherwise, my next appointment is going to be Saturday. So I look forward to seeing you then. So always make the reason you're too busy to do it right now. You'll do it at the time you booked in the diary already. Step number 4 is signposting the appointment. Now, when you're on the market appraisal, you'll be really clear about the process that happens next. Most homeowners have no idea what happens on a market appraisal. They've got no idea what you're going to talk about, how long it's going to last, when you're going to leave them, what information you want from them. So the beginning of a market appraisal is a really important time to signpost exactly what's going to happen on the market appraisal. So once you're inside the property, taking your shoes off and said hello and isn't the weather nice, next stage say, look, I'd just like to paint you a bit of a picture about what the plan is for today. So first of all, I'd love to have a look around your beautiful home. I can't wait to see that kitchen you talked about on the phone. I'm really looking forward to that. Once I've had a bit of a tour around, then we'll have a chat through the figures and we'll talk about how we're going to get you the best possible price for property and fit in with that timescale we talked about on the phone as well. As any questions, that's a really good time to ask them, and then we'll kind of talk to the next stages after that. Any questions at all off the back of that? Great. Okay, well, let's jump into it. Let's have a look around and see your property then. So what we've done in that conversation is we've laid out a really clear guideline of we're here today. This is what the next hour is going to look like, and this is when I'm going to leave, and this is the stages between that. So it must have a really good understanding about what's going to happen over the valuation, and therefore there's no confusion about what is going to happen next. Step number 5 is something that lots of agents miss out, and it's closing for the business. Now, I always find it's a little bit painful because you've got someone who lives in your local area who has responded back to your marketing saying, do you want to sell your property? They then called you up to book in you to come around and value their property with the idea of selling their property. You've then gone around and valued their property for an hour or so after they spent the whole morning cleaning up their property, and then you don't say, do you want to sell your property? Which I just find absolutely crazy. No matter what you do closing wise, it's important just to ask for the business. Just say to them, look, after everything we talked about today, any reason why you don't want to get things going and go on the market with myself? That's absolutely fine. But if you want to be really smart about it, think about what step 1 was. We said to them, what are you looking for in the agent you go on the market with? So we've got that information in our back pocket. So therefore, we can basically feed them their own words and basically tick off their tick list that they gave us. So someone might have said, I want an agent with fantastic communication who's going to sell it quite quickly and get me the best possible price. Great, but let's have that conversation. So great, we've gone through all the details today. So I know we spoke about on the phone, the 3 big things you're looking for from an agent is the fact that they had really good communication. Well, hopefully I've kind of shown you how we stay in communication with our clients all the time. Are you happy with that? That sounds okay? Yeah, great, that sounds okay. Fantastic. You also mentioned you wanted to sell the property quite quickly to fit in with your timescale. And so we talked about obviously selling the property in a certain way and doing a launch day. That all sounds pretty good. And I think that's probably the best way. You agree that that's going to be the best way going forward? Yeah, great. I agree with that. And we talked about getting the best price for you possibly as well. And therefore we talked through the strategy about how we're going to do that. So it sounds like we're ticking all the boxes then. So you mentioned you want good communication. I think we're on the same page on that. You mentioned you want to get the quickest sale for your property. Sounds like we're on the page for that. And you want to get the best price. Great. But it sounds like a match made in heaven. Should we get things going? You've literally fed them back their own words. They've said, I'm looking for this, this, and this. You've gone through and said, well, we've just agreed that I offer this, this, and this. So should we get things going? Worst case scenario there, someone might say to you, well, actually, I'm not quite sure about the timescale piece. Fantastic. Well, let's talk a little bit more about that, how we can get you moving the same timescale you want to go before. So if someone says, no, actually, I'm not quite aligned with you, I don't quite know what we're talking about there, great. Use it, chart, to kind of pause the conversation and say, great, well, let's go over that again, Sherry, about how we can sell your property quickly. Therefore, we've had that information they've given us at that early phone call, and we used it as a checklist for the close later on in the conversation. It's a really strong way because people don't like to disagree with things they've said. As if they've said already, this is what I'm looking for, and you said, well, I've just showed you that's exactly what I can do. They don't want to contradict themselves and actually say something different to what they originally said. So it's a really good way of closing for the business. But the important bit, just closed in some way. They've cleaned their house for hours. They've asked you out for a market appraisal. It's not crazy to think, do you want to go on the market with myself? Step number 6 is to deliver a post-market appraisal letter. Now, as you might expect, the best way of doing this is by hand. So again, later on the same day or first in the next morning, if it's a later appointment in the day, knock on the front door. Hey, really good to see you earlier on today. There's your post-market appraisal letter recapping everything we talked about. While I'm here, by the way, how'd it go with the agent after me? It gives you another chance to have a conversation with the homeowner and gives you another chance to close for the business. On average, homeowners will have 3 agents out to value their property. And if you talk to a lot of agents and say, would you rather be first, second, or third, you'll get a whole range of answers. Do we want to go out first, want to blow their socks off and make sure they can't be forgotten further down the line? People in the middle want to make sure that they kind of not first, they are seconds. They've got a little bit of information already, therefore they can build on what the conversation have happened in the region. And the third people want to go, right, you've got all the information now, let's blow the rest of those guys out the water. No matter whether you want to be first, second, or third, if you're doing the pre-market appraisal letter correctly, you're basically first to the front door. And if you're doing the post-market appraisal letter correctly, you should be last to the front door as well. So therefore, we're getting the full range of the benefits across the board by doing that process. Please hand deliver a post-market appraisal letter. If you want more instructions, it seems crazy not to throw the kitchen sink at it. And I'm sure on the market appraisal, you were saying about how you're different and how you have a personalized, customized service. So therefore, this is your chance to really show it. And finally, step number 7, follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. Most sales across the board are done between follow-up point number 5 and point number 12. If people don't come back to you straight away, that's absolutely fine. You need to stay relentless with your follow-up. It doesn't mean you're being annoying or nagging. You need to walk a fine line of being proactive but not harassing them, but regular follow-ups to go forward with. Now, every conversation doesn't need to be, are you ready to go on the market yet? It could be, oh, I just sold a house around the corner, by the way. Here's the details for it. You might want to know about that. Or here's a quick market update of what's going on in the local area, just so you know. So it doesn't need to be chase, chase, chase. It can be just, I saw this and thought of you, or offering some value to the equation. Therefore, they know that every time their phone rings, it isn't going to be you hassling them to come on the market. It could just be you saying, here's a bit more information, here's a quick freebie, I thought of you and thought you might enjoy this. So that is 7 steps to improve your market appraisal conversion that you can use in your business straight away from today. If you do want a free copy of my best-selling book, Your First £100,000 Estate Agency, you can download a free copy. Just DM us the word book over on Instagram and it'll come straight across you. Hope you enjoyed the video and good luck on those market appraisals.